Good afternoon and welcome everyone. I'm Giselle Robert, President of Site Canada, and I also represent Meetings and Conventions Prince Edward Island. So it's great to see everyone. We had over 130 people register from across Canada and our sister chapters. So great to see everyone coming out. So I'm happy to officially welcome you to our sustainability series. Today's webinar is a great example of our chapter's focus on collaboration and food waste solutions for 2024. The goal is raise awareness, as well as provide tools and resources to explore and expand how we can be more creative with our sustainable events. Sharing a few notes from Liz Akey, our ambassador. So the plan for our series is to have one or two webinars this year, and we welcome topics from you. So please reach out to Liz Akey or put them in the chat if you have some ideas. And we have lots of things coming up in the future. Also wanted to mention Site Global Conference. A lot of people are heading out this weekend for that in Istanbul. And we're happy to announce that there will be a sustainability community interactive gathering. That's a mouthful. On February 28th at 10:45 to 12:45 in the Bosphorus room at the Conrad Hotel. So it's a great opportunity to meet other like-minded sustainability professionals. So before we start, a quick update on our next event. We are launching a new education series. The Learning Lounge will be a workshop format. So we're excited to say that we're partnering with Visit Kingston. Our first session will be held at Queen's University at their Toronto campus on Front Street. Following the session, we will have our AGM in person and streaming on video. So please join us on March 27th for a great day of learning, for our AGM, our awards presentation, and a reception to follow. It's going to be a fun day. So I wanted to thank our incredible board of directors, our passionate ambassadors and committees. Our volunteers give so much of their time and expertise to Site Canada. They are so vital to our chapter's success. If you'd like to get more involved with Site, please reach out to me or any of our board members. Be sure to go to our website at sitecanada.org and join our mailing list so that you're getting all our events that are coming up. We would love to see you. So now to get the ball rolling, are two of our sustainability committee members, Fiona Barkley and Michael Kohlmeyer. Over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Giselle. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And before we start, I have a few housekeeping notes. When you join this webinar, you are automatically placed on mute. So if you have any questions for our speakers, please place them in the Q&A box. We have a number of people monitoring that box, and we hope to get to all of them before the end of the show today. After each presentation, we've dedicated a few minutes for questions specific to that speaker. And then at the end of the two presentations, we'll have an open Q&A. So following, we'll have then a quick wrap up to complete the hour. So let's get started. So I'd like to introduce you to our first speaker, who comes to us from Canada's largest food rescue organization, who work with thousands of businesses across the food supply chain. Their mandates include tackling food insecurity through food redistribution, research, awareness, and education. Joining us from Second Harvest to educate and inspire is Amy Robinson. Fun fact, Amy and her husband just celebrated their son's first birthday, and Amy tells us there's no food wasted from Jacob, their son. Whatever their son doesn't finish, they do. So welcome, Amy, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Fiona. Yeah, definitely picking up the scraps from our son these days. So just bear with me. I'll share my screen right here and I will jump into my presentation. Okay, so as I said, thank you so much. I'm from Second Harvest, and to get the ball rolling, I've got just a little video here from our wonderful CEO, Lori Nicol.
Hello, Site Canada. Thank you for attending today's webinar on food waste. You're an extremely important stakeholder in mobilizing food rescue right across Canada. And together, we can improve communities, nourish people, and importantly, keep food where it belongs, on plates and out of landfills. Just by attending this webinar today, you're taking an important step towards positive change. More than 194 hotels, caterers, and event companies have accounts on the Second Harvest Food Rescue app, with over 208 locations right across the country. Since the app launched in 2018, these accounts have rescued and redistributed enough food for 170,000 meals. This represents a total value of over $500,000 of good food directed to people and communities that need it. And nearly 1 million pounds of harmful greenhouse gases were prevented from entering the atmosphere. It's a massive impact. And all thanks to people like you. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you on the Second Harvest Food Rescue app. Hello, Site Canada.
Sorry. There we go. So Second Harvest is Canada's largest food rescue organization. We collect surplus, unsold food from right across the supply chain and distribute it throughout Canada. We start off pretty small, just a group of parents wanting to rescue surplus meals from local restaurants, using the back of a hatchback car to supplement school nutrition. Fast forward quite a few years to 2020, when we kind of saw the world shut down. And we managed to roll out a 3-year national plan in about 8 weeks to rescue food from the entire supply chain right across the country. So that's farmers, producers, manufacturers, retail stores, restaurants, hotels, events, you name it, caterers. This helped us create relationships with many businesses in the hospitality industry who have continued supporting our cause and donating surplus food to organizations in their communities whenever possible. We've grown so much as an organization that we've been able to rescue 75 million pounds of good surplus food last year alone. So did you know that about 58% of all food produced in Canada ends up back in landfill for a variety of reasons? And approximately 32% of this is perfectly safe and nutritious. The amount of food wasted equals about 124,000 tractor trailer loads every single year. Despite the amount of waste we see, we have 1 in 6 Canadians going hungry every day. This includes 2 million Canadians, or 2 million children, excuse me. So this tells us that we don't have issues with the amount of food in Canada, but rather we have an issue with how it is the surplus is efficiently handled. To put it into perspective, if food waste were a country, it would be the 3rd largest emitter of greenhouse gases in the world, which is an obvious significantly negative impact on the environment. So when food goes to landfill, it produces bulk methane gas instead of CO2 and burns 25% hotter. If we have a look at where the food loss and waste is coming from, although hotels, restaurants, and institutions make up only about 9% of the waste across the supply chain, they're a huge part of our communities and therefore have a wonderful opportunity to connect directly with our not-for-profit partners to make substantial impact. We saw this impact and how wonderful it was during the pandemic, and I can confirm that it's been great to see, and that has continued with many businesses looking to rescue their surplus since then, whether it's on a one-off or a recurring basis. So what we do and how we do it, we manage an in-house fleet and warehouse operation right across the GTA, rescuing and redistributing from donors to nonprofits in our delivery and pickup programs. We also work with national third-party logistics to rescue and redistribute consumer surplus food to our not-for-profit network across the country. This can be anything from producers to distribution centers. And then we have the Second Harvest Food Rescue app, which we're talking about today, that helps connect food businesses with recipient agencies in their communities. So there are still challenges with rescuing food. The charitable food sector has limited financial resources and often relies on volunteers, which makes it difficult for businesses and charities alike to coordinate when rescuing food. This can present challenges around communication, workflow for businesses, as well as the rescue groups. Commercial businesses use the cold food chain all the time to ship massive quantities of food across Canada and have built-in processes for efficiency and effectively moving this food. Charities, on the other hand, have less capacity to set up these processes and are often forced to mobilize last minute to identify and procure sources of rescued food. So this is kind of where we met that need. So the Second Harvest Food Rescue app strives to address these challenges by supporting businesses in rescuing their food. Basically a win-win for everybody. I don't think I've said it yet, but it's completely free. So the Second Harvest Food Rescue app, yep, there it is. It's a free online food donation platform. It's available everywhere in Canada in both English and French. You can schedule donation pickups and track your data all in one place. We have awesome KPIs. Lori mentioned value of meals provided, the number of meals themselves, as well as the aversion of greenhouse gases created. You can track all of those right on your dashboard. You can also set up one-off or recurring donations. And if you have a preferred partner or an organization that you're already donating to, you can target them right on the app so they get the data as well, which is always really nice for organizations to have. So we do provide peace of mind. Nonprofit organizations are screened by Second Harvest to confirm that they are registered charities and nonprofits. They have been public health inspected and follow local health food safety regulations, and that they have at least one staff member or volunteer with Safe Food Handler certification, which is similar to like a Smart Serve. So just it's a course that anybody handling food needs to take to make sure they're doing it safely. We make sure that they're transporting food safely, following regulations for handling temperature sensitive food. So if there's frozen or refrigerated food, we make sure that they show up with coolers and ice packs. And we offer a food program without discrimination. We want to just connect food to the people that need it. So a question that does come up quite often is around the liability of donating food, especially when that food is close to or past its best before date. So you'll be happy to know that every province and territory in Canada has a similar act protecting the donor. And Second Harvest was actually instrumental in creating the Food Donation Act in Ontario way back in 1994. So as Laura mentioned, we do have currently 208 hotels and caterers on the Food Rescue app donating their surplus. This is translated into over 170,000 meals being donated, and has definitely made a big impact on those who've received the meals. A good news story that I was just working on the last few weeks, Silver Hotel Group, they got together in one of their management events in Toronto, and they actually made 700 prepared meals that were then donated straight to Second Harvest and used in one of our programs the very next day. So pretty amazing the impact that can be made. They also managed to collect food from every one of their hotels across the country, which is about 30 hotels that participated. And they donated using the Second Harvest app to organizations within their communities over the holidays, which is just a great way to kind of start those relationships if you're unsure how to do it. Everyone loves to do a food drive. And I mean, not only hotels, but I've done food drives and the like with caterers, restaurants, event places, you name it. So speaking of donating catered food, we have quite a few resources that will be shared after the call here. But I know another area of concern that comes up when talking to hotels and caterers is just how do you donate that food? So I'll be sharing this resource we made in partnership with the CFIA, as well as directions from public health around catered food. A lot of this kind of came about after the pandemic, so some really good learnings there. Some helpful hints for donating food from a catered event. Don't serve all of your food at once. Don't kind of put it all out on the table at once. You know, keep some back and make sure that you're replenishing. That way, if you do have food that's untouched, I know quite often it goes to the staff. I was a restaurant manager once upon a time, and I was quite thankful for those events because they fed me. But yeah, then if there is any leftover, you can always donate it. Have a space in the fridge or freezer or a separate table specifically for the food that will be donated before the event starts, so everybody kind of knows where to put that food. And then set up a donation on the Food Rescue app ahead of time with just an approximate number of the donation or approximate number of meals that you think might be left over afterwards. This can be as little as 10 pounds. It makes quite a big difference to people. I won't get into kind of the nitty gritty. We can get into that after. If you want to book a call, I can answer some of those questions, but those are some helpful hints. And as well, just kind of reach out even before your event starts, reach out, see if they have a donation system already in place or a food rescue process already in place. Because quite a few places do, or they would love to work with you and figure out how to come up with one. So some foods can be consumed after their best before dates. This is a handy chart I'll share as well that tells you how to prep the donation so it lasts just as long as possible. And typically food that is donated will be eaten within 24 hours. That's just how great the need is across the country. So I know there's some hesitation sometimes around, it's gonna go, or it's gonna pass its date in the next couple of days. Rest assured, it will be consumed. So looking at just how the app works, or the platform works rather, you can use it on a desktop or a phone, either or works. So now that we know what can be donated, we can kind of have a look at how to do it. So number one, register for your account through the website. Pretty simple. Then once you've registered, you'll be able to look at your dashboard. So this is where those KPIs are measured. The first one being meals provided, the approximate value of those meals according to the food that was donated, and then the pounds of GHGs averted. We came up with this calculation with our friends, and it works really well. So there's also quite a few resources on there. You can put your profile, you can add as many users and locations as you want. I think that I mixed up those two slides, but that's okay. So this tells you a few other features that we have. I could go on and on about the app and kind of what we do here at Second Harvest. So I will stop it here today and see if there are any questions. And like I said, I'll be sharing the presentation as well as a few resources, and you can always book a call with me as well. So thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Amy. That was great. A lot of information in a very short period of time. And also too, some of the information you're sharing is the best before timetable, etc. I think everybody will be I know I was astounded at some of the information and didn't realize. So we'll just check and see what the questions are. First one, can food donation be cooked food?
Yeah, absolutely. It can be cooked food. Just as long as it hasn't been kind of like in that temperature views, as long as it hasn't been in the danger zone, kind of there's like if you've done food safety or food handlers, there's like a danger zone that, hot held food can't be held in for that long. So that's also kind of why I say keep the food back and then replenish kind of as needed so that it doesn't reach that danger zone. And then it's common sense kind of from there. If you wouldn't allow the staff to eat it, probably shouldn't be donated.
Makes sense. Thank you. Another one, how quickly can or will the organization pick up the cooked food left over from an event?
Yeah, so we typically say to post your donation 24 hours in advance. So if you have an event today, best practice is to either kind of post the donation yesterday with just an approximate number of pounds or meals that you think might be left over, 10 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, just depends kind of what your event is. And this just allows the organizations, typically are volunteer run. So sometimes it takes a bit to kind of mobilize somebody to get a car, or if they have other pickups, just to kind of put it in their schedule. And then the great thing is, even if you've put, 50 pounds, it ends up being more or less, the organization does need to confirm what the donation was on their end. So if you're worried about data tracking, it's that nice partnership. They want accurate data as well. So if it was more or less than what you said it would be, they're gonna put that in there when they're asked to confirm the donation.
And just, sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
And then, yeah, if you can sort of freeze the food or refrigerate it overnight, if you don't want to kind of post a donation for pickup until the next day, that's totally fine as well. We do have some organizations that can pick up after events, but they do need to know beforehand. So I know that's right. Like a lot of examples, but yeah, those are best practices.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. And just to confirm, Second Harvest operates across Canada?
Yep. Every single province and territory, we have operations folks that can give you a hand. We also have bilingual people as well. So if there's anyone looking to go into Quebec, we can do that as well.
Great. I think those are the specific questions for now. Just let me check the chat, and I think we're good to go. So I will now thank you very much, Amy. Please stay tuned for the end after we listen to Ben, because we will have another open Q&A. Passing it over to Michael.
Yes, hello, and good afternoon and good morning. There's some American and attendees, and I believe some in Europe as well. I'd love to introduce our next speaker. This gentleman has a great passion for food. He has a food engineering background combined with an executive MBA, and he's been in consulting organizations about the food supply chain for almost a decade. This man is so committed to reducing food waste, he consumes bananas, peels and all. No, actually, not true. He makes banana bread with the peels. So without further ado, the founder of foodtable.ca or bettertable.ca, Mr. Ben Liegi.
Great, thank you so much for having me today. So yeah, I'm Ben Liegi, the founder and CEO at bettertable.ca, and today I'm going to share with you how you can waste less and earn more at your events. As Amy mentioned before, it's a huge impact that can many guests and employees are seeing on a day-to-day basis, and if you really want to be aligned with what's current expectations are in today's world, it's going to be really key for you to implement these actions. But before, I would like to acknowledge that I'm currently connecting from the unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations, also called Vancouver, BC. So today, this is what we have on the menu. So I'm going to share a little bit about the opportunity of preventing food waste, and then we're going to share a little bit about the measurement process, because you can only manage what you measure. And so being able to be on top of your food efficiency, it's about being efficient in your operations, is going to be key moving forward, especially in the world of like food inflation that has been really impacted a lot of businesses over the last few months. And then I'm going to share with you some resources so that you can dig into the more helpful information. But how much does it cost? I'd like to ask you that question. How much do you think you're spending today on food costs in a single year? Think about it for a second. In Canada, the Canadian hospitality industry is wasting $14 billion every single year. And in BC, and I'm sure it's the same across North America, 7% of food revenues for a restaurant or food and beverage operation is being wasted. That's the cost for the business. So for every $1 you're making, you lose $7 just because of food waste, 7 cents just because of food waste. And this is critical because experts in the industry, including Cisco Canada, they are forecasting for this year a profit margin of only 1%. So that just shows you the magnitude of the impact of food waste in a food and beverage operation, and how it can turn your business into a profitable one or someone losing money. And just to give you some perspective around this, before the pandemic, there were in Canada only 12% of restaurants that were losing money or just breaking even. Right now, it's 51% in Canada. So it is key to be able to be on top of your food costs if you want to be successful moving forward. And so at bettertable.ca, we empower kitchens to cut food waste in half, one table at a time. And so cutting food waste in half, it's such a big topic that it has its own sustainable development goal, SDG 12.3, which is reducing food waste by 50% by 2030. And the only way to get to this target, to achieve this target, is to track it. If you don't track it, you will never achieve that sustainable development goal. And so at bettertable.ca, we help food and beverage operations control food costs with our academy, which is an online training, which is available for free. And we also do in-person food audits. We have card games and we have other partner solutions, because it's not just a single problem. Food waste, sometimes many people think about it, oh yeah, I just need to compost. No, there's so many more actions that you can take to actually make a difference. And working with Second Harvest is like a very also great action that you need to implement, but there are so many ways you can go even further because it's a massive problem we have to deal with in our industry. So how do you track it? So I'm just going to explain you how we work with the hotels and caterers, and now the healthcare industry is also interested in this, around making food operation more efficient. So it's a 3-day on-site audit. Before we come in, we of course clarify the scope, the expectation. We also provide training, because what we see is there is a clear lack of training, and that can make a huge difference. You know, I like to ask you, like, would you hire someone in your kitchen if they don't have food safe? Think about it for a second. No, you would never do that, right? The same thing, would you hire someone that doesn't have basic food waste prevention skills? This is impacting your bottom line directly. So it is key to have this first step and to make sure, okay, the person I'm hiring right now, or my team, has the basic skills in terms of food waste prevention. And so this can make a huge difference. And that's why we usually do it before we come in on site. And then when we are on site, we track the efficiency of the operations with a lot of observation, and we also interview key leaders, because many people think that, oh, it's just in the kitchen, and but the event planner has actually a key role to play, such as the finance leader or the HR leader, or if you work in service. So every single person in an event setting can actually make a difference. And yeah, and then it's a way to like share with you like a tailored action plan. Just to give you an example, so something that is key to track is to be able to have an idea of, do you have more kitchen waste, or do you have more post-consumer waste? I'm gonna think about this for a second. Do you know that? If no, that's a problem. So first thing first, pre-consumer waste, that's what most people do and start there. This is to track, okay, how much are we, how much is being spoiled, how much is being over-prepared versus what we are preparing. So there are different ways you can dig into different categories of pre-consumer waste, but being able to track that and put a figure and in gram of food waste per cover is essential. And so spoilage, it would be anything that, you know, like is going bad or after past the best before dates, that can still be donated according to the food donation guidelines. And overproduction, like, are we having a lot of overproduction? Because you also have to factor the labor cost. Every single dollar you save by reducing food waste, you also save 15 cents on labor cost for the time that is not being, you don't have to pay your staff to prepare some food that is eventually going to the bin. Post-consumer waste. So that's, okay, now the food has been out on the buffer line of your events, or people have taken the amazing food you've been working on but they just took too much. I'm sure you've experienced that in many of your events. Being able to know where, like, first, is post-consumer waste an opportunity for me? Yes or no? Do you know that answer? And if so, is it happening more at the plate waste or at the buffer waste or at different parts? You can make different segregation based on if that's your biggest opportunity. Yes, you should get more data on what's going on in your events. And the strategies that you're going to be implementing, if you have more plate waste, buffer waste, or kitchen waste, that's going to be totally different. So first thing first, what I would like you to do is to have an idea of what is my food efficiency baseline. Food efficiency baseline, it's very easy to do. It's like, how much waste has been generated by my events? How many people did show up at my events? Because the no-show, as you know, is also a big problem for food waste. Then how do I compare from one event to another, and how do I compare to the average in the industry, which is 388 grams per cover? And because, you know, like, from event planners, I'm hearing that all the time, sustainability is getting top of mind. So it's not just a way to save money, and it's also a way to share the impact you're having. Of course, it's saving money, saving meals, which is fantastic, but it's also saving carbon, but also saving water, saving land, because like 50% of water is being used just for food production, just to give you an idea. And a single hamburger is the equivalent in terms of water as 20 showers. So if you just think about the impact of that, and if you are able to share that, that's going to be very, very impactful. Just quickly, some of the things that we would do when we do an audit, like let's say what we see a lot is like, so there are still, even if that's super basic, but some lack of rotation for dairy. So a suggestion here would just be to retrain the whole team, especially front of house, to ensure that first in, first out is respected. So to make sure that what is going to expire first is going to show up first on the fridge. Very easy, but not done as much as it should be. For overproduction, something we've been working with a hotel from the Marriott brands, something that is really great, saying chef selection of festive holiday desserts that may include cheesecake, tiramisu, chocolate mousse, whatever you want. But that just may include makes a whole difference, because that specific chef was able to repurpose some of the prep food from previous day events to the events of the day. Let's switch to like more like the post-consumer, and that's more on the staff meal waste, which can be also from what we've seen from the different hotels and events we've been working with, can be actually also quite inefficient. And when you realize that, having a meal reservation software or just a form to guide the production can be a game changer to better plan how much food is being required. And of course, learning. I guess if we are here, we are all in learning new stuff. Even myself, like I've been working on this for the last 10 years. I'm learning every day. And so being on top of ensuring that the teams that are working on this have the skills to be successful is just a game changer. So I'll share some resources that can help you move the needle a little bit further. So training is key. You need to develop the skills, and investing in training and taking the time to be here today and to keep nurturing that desire for growth and for a growth mindset is key to be successful. And so one resource I would like to share with you is the Better Table Academy. It's you can access it on rethink.restaurant on the website, and it's a way to have an idea of the best practices in the industry in like bite-sized videos of 5 minutes. It takes 1 hour to do the whole thing. And that's a great way to start and to identify if you want to, even if you just want to learn more about how to reduce kitchen waste or how to reduce plate waste, you could just do that module that interests you, and that's available for free. Another tool as well I would like to share with you, that's Better Table card game. So it's basically a card game where you can engage your team to help reduce food costs and prevent food waste. So it's with different departments. So you have the marketing cards or like culinary kitchen waste cards. And it's about having you answer that questions in like 1 or 2 minutes, and then having other people around you giving some feedbacks that can be very powerful. And can, if you have 1 minute, you can take one card. If you have a whole afternoon, you can go through the whole thing and engage with your teams. So the more you give, the more you get. And that's what we usually use when we do our audit as well. But if you just want to get the game, that's something that is also available. And just to share like a few of our clients. So we work a lot with the hotel industry. But also with DMOs that are really pushing for regenerative tourism strategies. And I also, of course, with like caterers and restaurants and the healthcare industry. So yeah, so that's happy to answer any question you may have, and let's waste less and earn more.
All right, thank you so much, Ben. You're such a resource of knowledge, and you give a lot of information away for free. It's much appreciated. I want to ask you first, there are many people online today that are food conscious and wish to reduce food waste personally and at events. What advice would you give them to convince their organization to buy into that?
Yeah, so I think it's a great question. There are many things that can influence a decision depending on who you're talking to, but usually if you want to talk to your general manager or to ensure that they're on board, you need to take money. And so the first thing is like how much you can save. Like usually our clients, they save 2% on food cost. So think about it, like if you spend, let's say $100,000 on food cost per month, that's $24,000 per year that you can save just on food. And we like just worked with like a hotel, they was just doing breakfast, and just in changing the way they're operating the buffet setting, we were able to save just $1,000 per month, which is like huge just on breakfast. So that kind of gives you the potential of solutions on food waste prevention. And
Yeah, it is amazing. It's astounding when you would expand that to a number of organizations, or let's say a hotel chain, for a number of different properties.
and maybe just if I can also add on that, like of course the impact on the P&L is great, but what we also have to see like is like if you're a hotel owner, what you see is the value of your property. So, and usually the asset value is determined, like if you have a capitalization rate of 8, you can multiply this by around 12. So the impact you have on the P&L is great, but you can multiply this by 12 on the actual value of your property, which is pretty sweet and easier to convince your owner.
And not to mention the marketing aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, well, I'm going to slip this one in there quickly with all your resources. Someone asked if the card game is available in French. Have you translated it into your mother tongue?
So it is actually, that's why it's not produced, but it's in the pipeline. But if you're interested, please feel free, and I'll make sure you'll be the first to know when it's going to be.
Okay, perfect. I know you have a documentary film coming out this year. Very excited to see it. I saw the trailer, and I've watched all your shortcasts, or listened to all your shortcasts. Can you tell us a little bit more about the film?
Yes, so the film, so it's a side project I've been working with Vivian Davidson. It's called the Food Synergy Movie. It's the first documentary about food waste solutions from farm to table. So we really go across the different life cycle stage from farm, because it's not only a problem in the event industry, like it's all across the food supply chain, as Amy said before. And it's really like, so we go across people who provide solutions at the farm level, at the distribution level, at the manufacturing level, at the retail level, in hotels and restaurants, and also at the end of life. And to really share that, yes, it is possible to leverage the #1 solution to fight climate change 3 times a day, every single day. And so this should be available, like it's been work in progress for the last 3 years, but it should be available this year.
Oh, brilliant. Last question from me directly. Ben, you ask often for people to look in their compost bins to make 3 observations. So what could we expect to see in your compost bin? No banana peels, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's to be honest, it really depends on one operation to another, but being able to have a look. What I always say, you should see your compost bin like an ATM.
Okay, so you got no money in your compost bin. You don't throw money away, right? So what's in your compost bin, Ben? We really want to know. This is a pressing question of the hour.
But just to give like something a bit more concrete, like you could look at, okay, if you look at your bin, what do I see? What type of food waste do I see? Is most of the food waste coming in from plate waste? Maybe we should change our plates or add some messaging. Is a type of ingredient something like if I'm always seeing dairy all the time, maybe we should try again to train our staff on first in, first out. And if like you and when as well, if you see that every Tuesday there is a peak of food waste in preparation waste, maybe it's a training opportunity for Tuesday staff.
Right, right. Well, anyway, that could be a daily challenge for someone at home, or every week or every 2 weeks before they, throw out their trash bin or their compost bin. Okay, great. Fiona, are we going to open this up for questions?
Yes, absolutely. Don't see
Okay.
any in the chat right now. I have one here I was just looking at too. When event planners are preparing their meals for the group, what are some helpful hints for them to best economize and avoid as much food waste as possible? What would be some of the best procedures to take? And that can go to Amy and or Ben, because after it all happens, it would hopefully be picked up by Second Harvest.
I mean, I can share like there are many reasons and many things you can implement, but the first thing you should do is to track it. Like if you don't know
Right.
what's going on, like you will not be able to take the adequate action because maybe you're working on something that represents 5% of your food waste, and that's
Right.
not really how you're gonna save money. So, but something like we see all the time is a no-show in events, So having some ways to ensure this communication is like clearly on top of the sales conversation, and to remind that, okay, how many people are going to be showing up like 2 days before the event is something that is simple but can make a big difference.
Right. And oh no, the questions just escaped me. Oh, sorry, it's totally escaped me what I was just about to ask. There's one in the chat box though. How do event planners have this conversation with the venue? Is there a template?
I mean,
What would be the best way for the event planner to speak to either hotel or a venue to first find out if, I guess, do they have a program in place? And if not, then, how could they help make that happen?
I mean, it's just kind of being open when you're having those conversations about the event. I think it's, if you as the event planner, if it's that important to you, I think having it as part of your own mandate or your company's mandate is kind of the first thing there to show that it's a priority for you. And then you can share that with your partners. Like, this is really a priority for our events and what we're doing and what we would like to move forward with. And then we'd love to carry that on, and having some, I think, suggestions to start with. So like having Second Harvest in your back pocket, having Better Table in your back pocket as a suggestion, like, hey, these people are doing great work, or we've used them in the past, or we see that other hotels and event spaces are using them. Have you considered this? And then it's not like an attack, or it's not,
Right,
it's not
right.
like that. It's
Fair
not
enough.
quite as abrasive.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and if I can
I,
just add on that, I think I love the mindset, Amy, and I always say, if you oppose, propose.
Yes.
Okay, I want
Fair enough.
proposition.
I also just had that conversation with a hotel in that same manner, where I wasn't sure if they, or an event space, I wasn't sure if they were involved or if they had procedures and processes in place already. So I just asked them, do you have that in place? And as a matter of fact, they came back and said that we work with Second Harvest. So that would that's a good start. It would be then up to the event person to make sure that that's all taken care of for that specific event. There's another question here. As an event planner, I find it hard with the fear of not having enough food at my event. How would you guide us on guarantees and food waste?
Right, and so I'll add to that, Ben. When planning meals for the group, they're asking, how do you best economize? Also, so it's both.
Yeah, so I think the best advice I can give that is to like really have the conversation open to different leaders in the team, and not having just the event planner like reaching out to the hotel and just having this one-on-one, ensuring that like both the service side and the culinary side are also part of this conversation, and that there are some programs in place is something that is very key. And just look at your historical data, like if you also see some patterns between some specific events, like, oh, we have this big group of construction workers that always eat a lot, like you're gonna maybe adapt your portions for your buffet, right? So so it's also about better understanding what happened in the past, and if you haven't tracked that in the past, you have no idea what is gonna you won't be able to make a plan, or it's gonna be hard to forecast.
And quite possibly, your training academy, your better table.ca academy would give much more knowledge to the event planners or to whomever. And that gives you a better understanding of what kind of questions to ask or what the expectation should be. So, 1 hour is not, I know it doesn't seem like a long time, but with everyone so busy, sometimes an hour does. But if you can do it in modules, then you can just take the 5 minutes at a time or whatever it is. But I think that's also helpful because information is always gives you more confidence in talking to the situation.
Yeah, and if
Yeah.
you want, like module 1 is really about like more the generic aspect, and if you want some key facts and numbers, that's the one I would recommend you. If you want more tips on how to prevent kitchen waste or how to prevent plate waste, that's module 3 and 4.
So as we sort of starting to wrap stuff up, what would be your 3 takeaways, Amy and Ben, that are really important for everyone to remember?
Who do you want to go first?
Amy, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. So some key takeaways. Donating catered food is absolutely possible. There just needs to be a few measures in place. Number 2, you are protected when you're donating food, as long as the food is donated in good faith with Food Acts right across the country. Have a look at the language. You're absolutely protected. And in fact, this is kind of a fun one. Nobody has ever been successfully sued in Canada or the States for donating food. So
There you
that's
go.
good.
Good fact.
Another takeaway, donating your surplus food, it's not just about avoiding waste and reducing costs, but it can help create lasting relationships in your community with those programs that you help kind of fund with your food. So there's definitely a financial sort of point to it, but at the end, it's about people.
Right. Fair enough. Very
Ben?
good. Ben?
Yeah, so my 3 main like key takeaway for the audience would be: 1, measure food efficiency. We do energy efficiency assessments. Like you need to get into food efficiency tracking, because that's just the way the industry is going to be moving forward. Number 2, involve your team. So it's not just a one-person show. Like even if you have a lot of knowledge, many other people around you don't have that knowledge, or maybe they have a different knowledge that you don't have. So being able to involve different people that have different expertise is going to be key for you to be successful. And number 3, just keep learning. Like this is a journey. It's not something you're going to say, okay, I did this 1-hour webinar, like I'm a pro. You have to like keep learning, because this is a journey even for me, and even like so that's just the biggest advice: have this growth mindset.
Great.
Right.
Thank you very much. Michael, do you have anything more you want to add?
Yeah, well, I would say, speaking with in all aspects, it's process driven, right? So every event, every group event has a pre-con. Please invite not just the chef, invite a larger part of the team from the hotel if you can, if you include them, and then other people on the planning side, so they're fully aware of the focus on reducing the excess food, right? And I think those conversations and questions early on the RFP stage, that's absolutely critical. There's no reason why this shouldn't be front and center, and everybody's aware already of reducing. So, and saving the money in the budget, right, Ben? We're all about that. So, yeah, no, this is brilliant. We have 1 minute.
We have one more
left.
question.
Oh, one more question.
Just
Okay.
quickly, yeah. Does Second Harvest have staff to provide a simple thank you presentation to provide awareness to the group to understand they contribute to the local community? I did this in Miami and the client really appreciated to see their local impact.
Oh yeah, that's a great suggestion. We collect testimonials from pretty much all of our nonprofit partners, and we share them with our head offices. We also have an internal kind of stewardship tier program for our accounts. So depending when the location hits a certain amount of donations, we kind of do outreach on their behalf, collect testimonials and stories and
Fantastic.
photos and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Giselle and Liz and the team. Thinking ahead, we have Earth Day on April 22, and we have Celebration Earth Day for event people. So keep that in mind. It's a big celebration. We will have a survey that will be going out. We'd really appreciate it if you complete that. And along with that will also be the presentation. We'd love to know what type of topics you'd like to hear in the future so that we can prepare webinars of interest to you. And I think that's it for me.
Okay. Brilliant. Thank you all. And we'll give you back 5.5 minutes of your
Have a good
afternoon.
day.
Thank you so much, everyone.
you.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you very
everybody.
much.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.